Another Netdata Release Meetup. So this is the version 1.43. We are opening just a stream to have people join. So we'll start a few minutes after the hour. So stay tuned. In the meantime, I'll be sharing the link to our release notes. So I'll post it on the chat. We have a special guest today on this release meetup. Yeah, I think we probably can get started. We're already kind of 3-4 minutes past the time. So first of all, welcome to our meetup. The release meetup is shared on the chat, and you can find it also on the event descriptions. So I'll start sharing my screen without further ado. So the main topic of this release is the systemd journal logs. So there was a lot of work done to revamp totally this function and this kind of a feature on Netdata. We'll have a full block of time to speak in detail about this. So just to mention that this is the highlight of this release. And in terms of the guiding, going us through the release notes. So we keep with a steady growth. So this month we are in front of Elastic. With after a couple of years being very close to them, we finally surpassed them. And if you see in the CNSCF landscape, we are the leading project in terms of observability and analytics. So this is really a boost in our morale. So we are really proud of this achievement, and we want to keep this kind of momentum going. So if you haven't given us a star, make sure to show your love. This is really helping us kind of be motivated to keep improving this project and this product. In terms of Docker pools, we are almost on the 600 million, so 595. And we have announced this since June 2023. We are a verified publisher, so all the Netdata pools that you do don't count against your Docker pool limits. So this is hopefully in terms of some benefit to you, that you are not penalized by this. So when you integrate this into our CI/CD tools, you're not going to be hit by any kind of a limit in terms of this. Then probably moving to the release stuff. So starting with a brief summary of the main topics. The main areas that we improved or worked on this release have been on the logs. So of course, this is the focus of the release, the systemd journal log, which brings us the log capabilities into Netdata. And as well, with the rework that was done, this will allow us to bring future integrations with other tools in terms of logs. So Elastic, Loki, you'll see further on what's next. It's kind of in our plans to bring more kind of integrations and make this kind of a log visualization a key aspect for your troubleshooting with Netdata. We also did a lot of work in terms of improving your slicing and dicing of charts. So mainly on the apps plugin and the cgroups plugin for systemd, we changed how these plugins were collecting the metrics. Instead of putting the series as dimensions, they become now as charts, so like instances. And these instances are visualized on the Needle framework, where you can kind of group by them, you can slice by them, you can filter by them, you can see summary information by them. So hopefully this will bring more kind of a better summarization of these metrics, and allow you to more easily work with these charts and explore what's happening there. Besides that, there was some work also done on the disk charts and virtual machines and UPS. We'll see a bit of that also. A lot of improvements in terms of slicing and dicing capabilities on existing charts. Another point is about the stock alerts. So we keep improving and implementing changes on our health engine and make sure this is really reliable and helpful to you. So this is something that we're steadily working on and constantly trying to improve. And to share that this is also a key area of focus for the future for us. We want to bring more stuff on our next release, like multi-node alerts on the parents, allow the evaluation and configuration of alerts from the UI. So there's a lot of things coming up in here, and hopefully, again, these will be kind of very helpful to you. The fourth point is around alerts accuracy. So I think with help with the user, we identified an issue how the alerts query engine was making the validation for the alerts. So it was not fetching the data by the second resolution. It was not going to the tier 0 of the database of the agent, and it was going, because it was getting asking for one data point. It was optimized to go to the highest tier. So in this case, it was, because for example, it was getting averages, where if it went to the tier 0, it was going to be a 0 value. So again, this is an alerts accuracy improvement that we did, and we try to kind of make alerts more reliable and more kind of stable for you. There were a lot of improvements also on the resource utilization. So lower memory users, lower disk footprint, improving self-vacuuming of the SQLite databases. So again, another area that we are constantly making improvements. And one key thing is about the way the data is stored. So one point in terms of, because there were a lot of issues in terms of the memory or space used by the name value combinations of labels, mainly when you have high cardinality metrics. And with this change from moving from 8 bytes on 64 and to 4 bytes on 32, so we improved a lot the way this is taking the footprint, let's say, on the way we store this information. So was just taking a look on the chat, so we see already more love about the systemd journal, so that's really good that that you guys are liking this. So moving to the 6th point, we made a change to allow Netdata to be installed on 64-bit devices, IoT devices, and to be like a 32-bit Netdata running there. This was not possible, so we made this change so we can now install a 32-bit Netdata on a 64-bit operating system without issues. So again, hopefully this for IT enthusiasts is going to be a good thing. And lastly, I think this is something you already shared in the past. So we are moving forward with our Netdata Cloud on-prem. We have a handful of POCs running with big customers. So this is really something that we see demand and we see kind of traction. So if you have any need for specific on-prem deployment because of security reasons, any kind of compliance that doesn't allow you to use a cloud product, be aware that this is available to you. So you can reach out to us to request more details, how this kind of works. And it's another product offering that Netdata brings to you. So I think this is kind of the summary. And without further ado, I'll pass the word to Costa to kind of bring us the cool stuff around Systemd Journal. So Costa, it's your time.
Okay. Hello, guys. You know that Systemd plugin the journal plugin was for some time in the data. I think we first released it in August. So this is totally right. We went through all the details of what exactly needs to be done and how. So the new plugin, I have actually here a demo that I'm gonna show to you how to build a Systemd journal centralization server. But anyway, here we have just 3 servers. This hub is the master, let's say, the server. It is a master for the parent for Netdata, and we're going to set up also log centralization to it. So let's jump directly to it. Do you believe that I should do a presentation of the plugin itself and what it does? I can do that.
Yeah, I think it could be helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. So the plugin is this. You go to, let's go from start. You are on an overview. You go to functions. You select the Systemd journal. You select the node you want. By default, this is what you get if you don't have a logs centralization server. You are going to see individual servers. Then on each server, there are a number of sources, journal sources, log sources. So Systemd journal has by default local logs. This is the kernel, you know, the syslog, everything that is there. The user log, so it's either system or user, the default. You can create also namespaces, so you can isolate some logs from the rest, for a few services, let's say, from the rest. And this, by creating a namespace, this namespace is used mainly for performance reasons, but also for isolating the stuff completely. So it's different files, different database, completely different. The key reason, though, is that, for example, if you push a very busy web server logs, the logs of a very busy web server here, Systemd journal becomes a little bit the backend, I mean the database, becomes a little bit slow. So in order to speed it up, they separate the logs into namespaces. So these are the sources. These are automatically detected. So when you select a source, the default is all sources, so all the logs together appear here. What you see is first a histogram. This is let's go to one day, for example. This is over time, one day. No, it's we just booted up these servers today for this demo. So you can see the source, an aggregated view of the logs over time, and then you're going to have all the logs here. You see that if you hover somewhere on logs, you see actually where you are on the chart. Now, over here, there is a big list of fields, all of them with various values that you can see the various fields of Systemd. Now, Systemd, the good thing about Systemd is that it supports for every log entry an arbitrary number of fields and values. So if you check this, I just click a line, any line. So you click a line and you can see all the fields that are there. Some of them, like this one, for example, the timestamp, we added it. The ID is only in the database. So for the boot IDs, we find out when it was booted, when the first message appeared. For this, it has only this hex value. We added all this. What does this mean? This means all this. So we did some processing in order to make them a little bit more friendly. Here, for example, the GID 0 is the root. Yes, of course. So when we can look up something, we do a lookup to find it up. Here for the user 1000 is the user CM. And when we have, even here, there's a timestamp in the database. We write down with what time it is exactly in order to help you explore all the fields. Now, all these fields, or most of them actually, are available as filters. So here you have all of them as filters that you can click and see. You can say, no, I want this, and filter here all the output, and including the histogram. This is pretty nice, and it works very fast, especially, here is the number of results that you see on the log. So when this number is less than 1 million, so 1 million entries in the histogram in the entire time frame, generally this is very fast, less than a second or something. If you hit 10 million or more, then times go up, not linearly, but exponentially. So you need more than a minute. This is a limitation of the database. So the database, the Journal D database, has this issue. And actually, we pushed a few PRs to systemd to make it faster. So while we were developing this thing, we identified that, come on, some things on the systemd, the way that the database works are stupid. So especially at query time. So we submitted PRs for this to be fixed. Unfortunately, as with all open source software, in order for the new version that is faster to be distributed to be in the distributions, it is usually years. So it will need some time to reach our computers, our servers. So, but what we did is that we found a workaround that we could make this plugin, this version of the plugin better, faster, and we use them. So instead of utilizing some features of the database that are very slow, we do some things our own. So we query file by file, for example, all the journal files. We also cache, because we found out that it does a lot of requests to the file system about some timestamps, so we cache a lot of stuff. So we played around the current limitations of what is available on our systems to make it faster. So this version of the database, let's say, of Journal, is, even with all the patches, the performance patches that we did to systemd, this is going to be at the end at least twice as fast. To tell you, let me find these things on systemd. So GitHub, systemd. This is one probably. So this is 13 times faster. Then we split it up, this thing. You see that we have flame graphs and the likes, and we explain to the guys why it's like this and what's the problems. And then we created this one. No, this is one, and this is another one. This makes journalctl 10 times faster, and this makes it 14 times faster. Even after all these are applied, the Netdata version of it, this version, is going to be twice as fast. Mainly because there is some limitations on the way the database is structured that we bypass them by our own code. Now, apart from the performance, so the idea is that we try to provide all the functionality that is available, and require actually zero configuration. So this will also auto-detect all kinds of journal sources, even if there are remote journals or namespaces or whatever, this will be automatically detected here. Then we have, it will automatically detect all the fields. Now, inside journal, there are fields that are good to become facets, filters like this, and fields that are bad to become like this. Mainly because if you go and do this kind of counters on the facets here, on the values, so the syslog identifier in this time frame, in the last day, takes all these values. If all the fields, all the log entries had unique values, you understand that in order to build this thing, we would need all the fields in memory, which is kind of stupid to have to do. So internally, the plugin has a list or a blacklist of fields that it refuses to turn into filters. The reason is that the cardinality is so high that it will use a lot of memory for no reason. So we excluded them. Of course, everything is searchable here. So even if you go to a line, it doesn't matter which one, and you say, take something, this one. Oh, let's take something, this. That is not shown anywhere. So you go and put it there on the search. This works. So all of them say somewhere this unconfirmed. If I take even this syslog PID, what is this? Take a number, put it there. Boom.
Probably, Costa, just a moment. I think we have a question from the audience, so let me put it up. So Luis is asking if there's any plans to provide the ability to query multiple nodes without using log collection, CM, specifically thinking about Netdata Cloud on-prem.
So the idea is that, okay, I will go into that. So in the blog, in the learn, we added the ability to have centralization points, to build centralization points where you aggregate all the logs. Of course, if you build such a centralization point, it's very easy. I will demo this to you. You are going to have what you want. So when you go here, when you go at this point, you select the centralization server, and all the nodes will be in it, all of it. So there will be at sources. And if you select all, you can query them all together. There is another version of systemd journal. It is called Gateway D. This thing allows you to expose the journals on the network. Now, using this, this is what we were discussing today because the documentation is so cryptic. So we spend the day to actually to understand how it works and put a prototype to understand how this thing is working and can be configured. So the idea is that you can expose from all your servers the logs, an API, let's say, like something like having a Loki server per server, querying directly the journals. So you do that, and then we could potentially detect all this on the data, and from one instance of the data, query all of them instead of opening journal files to just query remote servers. We don't want to do it with our own streaming capabilities because this means that all the logs will be streamed centrally, which is, come on, no, why to do that? The other way would be to actually, because we have the network, the transport today, from a parent Netdata to ask something from a child Netdata. This happens, for example, here, I am on the parent Netdata. This one is the parent. I switched that. Now the request for that or that, the request, actually this is not there this way, it doesn't show anything, yeah. So the request for that node is not sent directly to that node. I am connected to the parent, this one, to the hub. So the URL is to the hub, but through the hub, I can query node 1. So we could expose this functionality to actually build something that will, when you query stuff here, actually queries all your nodes behind the scenes through our streaming capability. But let's see, guys, one step at a time. This is the first. This is a breakthrough by itself, I believe, because that's this user interface with zero configuration, zero prior knowledge, nothing for you to do, and suddenly to have all the logs like this from all your servers. This is, I think, this is already too good to be true. So. What I was saying is that about the fields. So we are missing a couple. So the Netdata agent already has a capability, but we have not built a UI for it yet. Is the ability to actually select any of the fields. So here there may be a few fields, CMD line, for example. I see this CMD line. So CMD line is not here. What we want is actually for people to say, for all of us to be able to say, okay, add a field here on the filters, like this. So add the field and put my own field there, whatever it is, and then query that thing and actually present the same thing with values, counters, and the likes. There is a big optimization that we are currently discussing. So this chart, for example, can be any of these fields, any of these. It doesn't matter which one. So I can say boot ID. Boom. You have now boot ID values here. You can say unit. You have all the units. You see? No, that's a bug. That's interesting. That's a bug. So the idea here is that any field can become the source of the histogram. But this is expensive. So inside the database, what we have to do is traverse each row. So we say, okay, I want data from that row to that row and traverse it. And then for each row, we go and fetch all the fields in order to build these counters, in order to calculate this thing. Now, this is expensive. More than 80% of the time is spent in fetching fields, indexing them, and calculating the counters. Imagine that when you have, for example, here, I don't know, 10 million entries, the calculations that need to be done on the fields, because there are a lot of fields, they may be 1 billion. It's a multiplication effect because it has, I don't know, 100 or 200 fields times 10 million. So it's a lot. And this slows down everything, especially the database, not the data so much, but especially the database. The database, I mean journal. So this allows, what is missing is to actually allow any field to become a facet. For the moment, however, you can search even for any value from any field, you can search it here. It doesn't matter what it is. And actually here you can say, you can use asterisks, etc. Simple pattern, a data simple pattern. So if I want to say session opened, of course, I can say S asterisk N, and it finds the session, I guess. Session opened. Oh, I don't know why. Oh, session, it finds the session, for sure. Okay, probably it's a lot, it has a lot of data, probably. So the idea is that we want on the search anything to be searchable. Yes, of course. We want anything to be searchable, even exotic stuff from any field, any field. Now let's go back to Let me check if I forgot something. So yes, the key features. I told you about all this. One of the problems that we have is that this plugin is not available when you install Netdata from a container or a static build, mainly because we depend on Docker and static builds on Alpine Linux. And Alpine Linux does not support systemd at all. It's not there. So we plan to change our containers to be Debian-based. I think on the next release this is going to happen. On the static builds, I think this is a little bit harder because we need to figure out a way on how to create a statically built Netdata based on glibc. We're going to see. We have a few ideas. We're going to see. There, other than that, the plugin, so in all native installs or source installs, all this have this plugin. Now, on the features, there are three things that our plugin doesn't support that systemd journal supports. One is that systemd supports binary fields. So here, instead of having text stuff, numbers, text, something like that, to have binary data. So this is not supported, of course, because we how to parse the binary data. This is application specific. The second is, yes, that the journal has the ability to have the same field, so the same key, with multiple values. So you can put the same key multiple times in a log entry with different values, like an array. So currently we don't support this. Netdata will show the last one, if there are multiple CMD lines, the last one. And the third is that in order for auto-detection to work, we read journal files from var.log journal and run.log journal. But when you receive journals from remote systems, with journal remote, you can configure to put them anywhere. So what we suggest is, actually, I try to avoid having, because this would be the only configuration required in this plugin. We support all subdirectories of var.log journal. So build your hierarchy of centralized logs below var.log journal, remote actually, var.log journal remote, and everything will be detected by Netdata. Then I explained journal sources. Okay, these are the various sources that are available. For the journal fields, you can see some documentation. Actually, there is you can do this man systemd journal fields, and it explains all the fields one by one. These are how we improved them a bit, how we annotated them to make them more human readable, whatever we knew that we can update. Of course, you can use here any field as, so if I select, for example, boot ID here, where did it go? It go here. So you can use any field as a column. Yes, I presented this. The filters, of course, histogram sources, of course. Oh, play mode, that's very nice. So in play mode, go here, fire last 15 minutes, hit a play. Now in play mode, if I put here something, so this is the hub, I am looking at the hub. I am looking at the hub, and I say here, echo, oh, let me do it force play, because it stops. And the data pauses when it loses focus. So I force play, keeps it there. So echo hello world, or systemd cat. Hello is not written like that. Boom. You see? Here. I do it again. 2, 3. So in play mode, you just let it there with the filters that you want, with the search probably that you want. So I could put here hello, and go there, 4. Okay. So with the filters you want, the slices that you want, etc. One thing that I didn't tell you is that if you have really a lot of logs and you want a big time frame and it's slow, what you can do, if you know some parts of the things that you are interested, then the database journal is a lot faster when you slice it. So if you say, even if you have 10 million logs from here to there, and you say, hey, I am interested about this command that has, I don't know, 20,000, 30,000 log entries. This will be amazingly fast. So let's go back. I don't see the questions. Are there questions? I see people asking. Okay. Full text search, query performance, we explained it. Now, nothing to configure and maintain. Now, let's go to the centralization part. So we created here 2 guides, and we are already working on a 3rd one for the active. So the journal supports 2 modes of centralization, of logs centralization. One is passive, so you have a server that sits down and waits passively for logs to come in. So on all your other servers, your clients, you need to configure them to push data to the central server. This is the passive. And there is also the active, where all the clients are sitting waiting, saying, okay, I have all the logs, I am waiting for someone to make requests. And then the server goes and picks them up. Now, this is a little bit trickier, and I think haven't found a very good use case, especially for log centralization, to have it. We're going to create a guide on how to configure the active one, but I think its use is very limited, let's say. So on the passive ones, we have 2 versions. One is without encryption. Of course, we say do not use this on non-trusted networks because there is no encryption, just open ports and logs moving around the network. And the other is with self-signed certificates. On the internet, I think DigitalOcean has another guide about using Let's Encrypt certificates. So I will go this because we have done some work to simplify the entire process. I will go through this and set up these 3 servers that we have here. Set up a centralization thing on the first one. So the guide is very simple. We have created a script where it does all the thing about the certificate authority management and issuing certificates and all this kind of stuff. This script is in the Netdata repo already. I'm gonna do whatever it says. So I'm gonna install Systemd Journal Remote. Systemd Journal Remote has all the programs that are needed for clients and servers. So I am on the hub, on the parent, let's say. So I'm gonna put the certificate authority on that server. Then we download the script. We make it ready for. It made it executable. And now we have to go here and issue a few certificates. So this is a command that I'm going to use. Actually, I say one is called hub. It has this name. This one. Copy. Boom. And it is at the IP, if I remember correctly, it is 10.10, oh, it's here, 10.10.41. Boom. It created the certificate. Now it has, I'm going to create the second server. So the second server is going to be 2. It's going to be node 1, if I remember correctly. Let me check here. It is node 1, yes. And here I'm going to say node 1. On that command line, you can put as many DNS or IP parameters as necessary. It doesn't matter. So you create the second. Now, this script, when you create it, it says, hey, copy that thing, copy to that node, to the, it's a script, it generates a script, and this script has inside it, sudo less this, has inside it some checks, of course, but also has the certificates. So it's just one file that we are going to copy it to the other server, and this does everything in order for the certificates to be installed where they should be. So I copy that thing, copy, and I have to do it. It's, if I remember, CM at 10:42. 2 it was, right? Yes. Boom. Yes. Password. Oh, very nice. It needs a sudo. Yes. Okay. So you copy that thing, and let's create the third one. The third one is this 3, no 2, 2. Boom, and you copy also that thing. A sudo is missing here. We should add it. Copy sudo and that thing. This is 10:40. 1, 2, 3. 3, like this. Yes. No. Come on. No. Oh, wrong one. Root. Yeah, of course. My fault. CM. Okay. Now, let's follow the guide. It says here how all this works. The SCP command that you need to do. A sudo is missing here, as we said. This is things you need to know about the certificates and the permissions they need, etc. So server configuration. On the server, I am on the server, but this, whatever I have done up to now, it could be on my laptop or on somewhere else. It doesn't have to be on the server. So on my laptop, on the server, I have to do this. We already did it at that part when we did this one. It's already there.
Costas, probably just a question. There's a question actually about this demo. Let me probably bring it up. So it's from Luis. He's asking to clarify, do you have to run the script to generate the certs only on the hub server?
Yes. So the idea is that, wait a moment. First, you don't need to run it on the hub server. You are creating a certificate authority. A certificate authority is like a registry where you need to maintain the certificates. You should not lose them, and you should not expose them. You should have them somewhere secure. Now, you have to decide where you're going to have them. For me, I prefer to have them on the parent server, on the hub. For you, you may say, no, I have a special other place where the certificates are stored. So I issue them there. I issue them there, and then I distribute the certificates on my entire infrastructure. Yes, like secure HashiCorp Vault or whatever. Now, what the script does, however, to help you is that for each server, so if you go here, it created everything. Let me do this. cd etc SSL. This is a directory the script creates. Okay. Now, if you check here, let me do this. If you check here, you see that there is the certificate authority. These are the keys of the certificate authority. Everything is controlled by this. This is the issuer of the certificates. So, and then you have for the hub, everything needed for node 1 and for node 2. Now, the good thing that we did is that we created these scripts. These scripts say, run me on hub. Why to run me on hub? to install the certificates and change everything, put the right permissions everywhere, etc., etc. This says run me on Node. This is why I copied these files. These files, as I showed you before, have everything. So run me on hub has some, what it does, first, it makes sure that you have installed systemd journal, you have installed systemd remote, systemd journal remote, so you have them. It creates the same directory, etc SSL systemd journal, and then, of course, it puts the right ownership, etc., into it, and then it saves into the hub directory. It's the same now, but in node 1, node 2, node 2, node 3, whatever, on your infrastructure, it saves the trusted certificate file. It saves, and of course, fixes the permissions. It saves the hub certificate, the hub private key, and then it changes etc systemd journal remote and etc systemd journal upload conf to override these things. Of course, it keeps a backup before. To override these three configuration variables in these conf files, so that whatever you do on that server, the configuration files have the correct paths to the certificates. And that's it. And then it gives you some instructions. So the idea is that you have somewhere your registry, and then you just copy these files to each server. For each server, its own file only. You run it, and you're done. As far as certificates are concerned, you need some more work there, depending on what each server will do. Okay, let's go back. So here we are. Let me run this. Run me on hub. I am on hub. I never ran it. So this, as you see, saving, updating, certificates, updating, certificates installed. You may restart services to activate them. If this is a central server, do this, but we have not configured it yet, so we need to go through the guide. If this is a passive client, do this. If it is an active client, do that. Now, here that we have the server configuration, what we need to do, and we skipped, is systemd journal remote is installed, but we need to do this. So on some systems, the default is HTTP for the journal remote. The default is HTTP. For others, the default is HTTPS. Now, on Debian, for example, it is HTTPS. So this one copies the configuration, the service file of systemd journal remote, and it instructs you to edit it so that you can make sure that it says this inside and not this. Okay, so let me do this. I am on the hub. I do this. Boom, and I see that it says HTTPS. So we are done. Nothing to do here. Okay, so even the reload does not need to be there. We did not to execute this. We didn't change anything. So if you need to change the port, the default port is this. If you need to change the port, this is what you have to do. I'm not doing it. We executed the run me on hub already. And then you just enable it. Copy, do it. Copy, do it. And that's it. The parent is ready. Now on the on the client, let's go here. We install again the remote. Boom. Boom. Now we need to edit this file. Sudo. I should give this command. Boom. And you need here to put the URL. The other parameters will be fixed by the run me script. So the run me on node 1 will fix the others. For the moment, we have to go here and say HTTPS. It is 10.10.40.41, and the port is 19.532. Boom. We did that. Then we need to edit. Oh, of course, one other stupid thing that most distros have is that the systemd upload service on the clients, if cannot connect, it stops and forgets about it. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't restart. So you need to put this if you want to be able to reboot or restart the server, the centralization server, without stopping the entire thing. What is this? Oh, it is okay. Then this one, copy, do it, and the run me. So sudo tmp run me. I copied it just before. I do it, creating, saving. Okay, updating the certificates in this file. So if you check these files now, I changed the upload before. So if I do now sudo less boom this, you see that it changed. I had added this. It changed, it uncommented, it changed these 3 lines. Of course, it kept a .org. Here is how it was. So once you do this, you should go here, restart the upload service. And now, on that point, on the hub, I have only this one. Now, this is the same, you see, is that the node 1 is the same. So now here, they are all together. So I see here a line from node 1, a line from hub. So this is very simple to do. If you had a lot of logs on the node, it may need some time in order to push everything, because it pushes everything on the parent, on the master. The good thing is that it's simple. You don't have to do much work. It's just a few things here and there. And it is reliable. After that point, you have the same stuff. And let me show you also the play mode. I go to the child. I go and say here, echo hello from node 1 or systemd cat. Boom. Hello from node 1. Okay? Pretty simple, pretty reliable. It is secure the way it is now, even with the self-signed certificates, mainly because both the client and the server validate that the same certificate authority, this is why the certificate authority is very important, the issuer, both certificates are issued by the same certificate authority. So once this is secure, no one can see your logs. And what is also interesting is that the only validation that is happening is from apart from the certificates, I mean, is that when you say to the client, where is it? This. When you say this thing to the client, this thing, the client validates that the server certificate has this host name or IP or whatever you put here, it has in the certificate. So if you try to connect to a wrong server, that his host name or IP here does not match what its own certificate says, the client will reject it. It will not go through. Of course, there are some troubleshooting. So you can see we have added here some more information. Here is the same demo that I'm doing, how it works, how to verify that it works. It's not very chatty, so some error messages, if you mess up with the permissions and the certificates and the likes, the error messages are not that obvious, what they say and what they mean. But generally, this is pretty easy. So just a few lines to run and boom, and the script, actually, the certificate authority. So try it. That's the demo. I don't know if you want me to say something else.
Yeah, Costa, probably I'll bring up some questions, but before even the questions, I would like to share some very good feedback that we have already been receiving. So there's already users saying that they are using these for application logs at the moment, and it's looking great, and they are liking it. And even speaking about how fast this is, users even speaking that they are using Loki and Grafana for logs, and since yesterday planning to nuke Loki and Grafana and replace with Netdata. So the feedback is being awesome, and the speed of this is really amazing.
Guys, you are gonna see performance issues. As I said, only when here there are many millions of more than 1 million entries. At that point, the backend, the database, becomes very slow. But generally, for up to 1 million entries in the time frame, this is rapid. This is instant. It's very fast. And even when there are several dozen of millions here, selecting a filter is again very snappy. Selecting a filter with, I don't know, 50,000 or 100,000 log entries, it's going to go rapidly. So the indexing that the database has behind the scenes is very good. The problem with this database is that when you want to fetch all the data with all their fields, and there are millions of log entries, there it slows down a bit.
Yeah, so, amazing, Costa. And now going to the two questions that came up on the chat. So one is if there's any kind of GDPR data on the logs or something, is there a way to filter that out in terms of then displaying this on Netdata?
So this has to be done. No, the journal CTL does not have any kind of such capability. There is nothing there. And actually, we cannot. Probably we could. Let me think about it. So we could, if you provide some regular expressions, we could add a filter in the data to actually, anonymize them, not to show them. This could be done. This could be done. But this means that all the data, in order to be anonymized, will have to pass through. The best way is to anonymize the data before giving them to systemd journal. That's the best idea. So the journals have anonymous data. Another way, we could also implement something, a filter or something. So if you have a special application that logs sensitive information in various sensitive fields, we could provide a user configured blacklist of fields. Don't show this ever. But yeah, I think that the best is to filter the thing before storing them in systemd journal. Of course, this will limit a lot your ability to explore the situation later, because you are not going to have the right logs, the full information.
Yeah. And probably then the next one is about...
No, wait a minute. The problem behind GDPR is that it would be shipped to Netdata, and where would that be located? Oh, okay. So by default, Netdata is on the same server. Okay, it's on the same server. So if you go to that server, it is that log on that server. This is why we added. One of the things, I don't know what version of Netdata you are using, if you are only agent or if you are using the cloud. The whole point with the cloud is to allow you to control which users are permitted to access sensitive information or not. We have not explored much this option, but this is why we see Netdata Cloud as an SSO for all the agents. So you have agents all over the place. Your data are on the agents. They don't leave the agents. You can use, even if you're accessing Netdata agents directly, you can use Netdata Cloud SSO for the agents. to actually select which users can see functions, logs, this, that, etc., etc. Yeah, go on.
So the other question I wanted to bring up was from Luis. So it's in terms of what sort of storage performance characteristics do you recommend for a parent centralized server to ensure the responsiveness experience of this system log view on decentralized hub, let's say.
So, guys, systemd journal relies entirely on the caching of the Linux kernel. You understand that this thing does not have, so systemd journal remote does not need a daemon. It's not, there is no database server there, it's just files on the disk. It receives the files and puts them on the disk. And our plugin, for example, what it does is that it opens the files as they are, and while they are written by one writer, this is by design on the systemd journal, so each file can have concurrently one writer and multiple readers. So each application that reads journal files actually opens the file, memory maps it, and starts working with it, and then goes to the next file, and the next file, and the next file. This means that memory caching, buffers, the buffers you see on memory are very important, on the system memory, are very important for the performance. So you may have, for example, slow disks, but a lot of memory. You may have, this will be okay. You may have low memory, very fast disks. Generally, you need performance of that thing, mainly because there is in memory nothing. It's just files, you open them and you work with them. If they happen to be cached to memory, it's fast. If they happen to seek disk accesses, etc., then they are slower. You have to experiment, I think, for your case. Generally, it depends also on the rate of logs. If you have servers that write, I don't know, 1 million log entries per second, you need something faster there. For most servers, this is ignorable. So if you centralize, I don't know, we have here a centralized server with 30 nodes, nothing. Totally nothing.
Cool. Thanks for the tips, Costa. Yeah, as you said, probably this is going to be case by case, and users will need to tune it as per.
It depends on your need.
Yeah. Okay. I think in terms of questions, I think there was nothing else, so we pretty much caught up on all of that. So just check if there's any kind of last minute question about systemd journal logs, or we can continue to the other topics on the release meetup. Seems nothing at the moment. We can of course check on questions later at the end of the meetup. So probably thank you, Costa, for this detailed guide through with this configuration and explaining all of this. So keep the feedback coming about this.
Okay.
Yeah. More it's the rest of the release notes. This is the highlight, Luis. So in terms of release notes, to not kind of take much of the time because we're already going over the hour. So if you see the release notes, there's links to the demo rooms that we have. There's links to the documentation that Costa was showing. So you can refer to the release notes to find all of this information. The other thing that we like to highlight is the changes that were done on virtual machine monitoring, VMware vSphere. So we changed the out-of-the-box charts. We added labels to allow you to slice and dice the charts and have more information like host, data center, cluster, review the metadata on the alerts, added the summary sections. And this was all because of feedback that we got from community. Users were deploying these integrations and trying to get better metrics out of this. And based on these asks, of course, we tackled it and worked on it. We aren't able to show anything here because our lab kind of expire. We are trying to get a new lab set up, and we can create a demo room for this, so you can also experience hands-on on our Netdata demo room. So as soon as we have that, we'll share it. So, but yeah, this needs to be mentioned because it's a very good thing we did on this release. Then on what's coming up next, for you to be aware. So on the next months that we are speaking. So as we said, this Logs Explorer will be extended for Loki, and Elasticsearch will bring more logs there. We will aim to get the collectors and the alerts configurations from the UI. So you, with clicks and just kind of a pointing to where you want to deploy or install the integration, you can do it from the UI. So it's going to be like without needing to go to the agent itself and change config files and all that. We are on our final stage of the Netdata mobile app. So we've been doing really serious dogfooding on this. We want to make sure this comes out the best possible to you. So we are doing these last final checks and debugging of possible issues. So hopefully we'll be able to ship it soon. And then we'll work on scalability. So of course, with the wide adoption that we have on Netdata, we need to make it sure it scales to larger environments where the parent can also deal with more kind of children connected to it. So we are finalizing the necessary changes to allow Netdata to achieve 1 CPU core per 1 million of metrics for data collection, 1 CPU core per 1 million of metrics for machine learning and health checks, 1 CPU core per 1 million of metrics per second for restreaming, which is pushing metrics to another parent. And then, of course, the numbers depend on the CPU and its clock and shouldn't vary much between systems. So this is, and again, at the same time, we are working on the Gorilla compression of our database. So scalability is still a focus from our side. We want to make sure the low footprint or the low usage on the resources of the host is there. So something we for sure want to keep improving. Then it's the acknowledgments, and then just the last part I think worth mentioning is the deprecations. So with this release, we deprecated the apps plugin, cgroups plugin, pro plugin, where, as we were saying, sorry, the apps plugin and cgroups, where the dimension for each of these what we call now instances or charts, they move from dimensions to charts. So what we mentioned about the slice and dicing of the charts, both for the groups user on these charts, and then for systemd service. On the prop plugin, so all network stack metrics except CCP have been moved to IPv4 networking. And the last point is that the family attribute has been deprecated across the agent, everywhere on the agent, from alert configurations, else API. So now it's using chart labels. And on the next release, what will be deprecated is that we are migrating our chartsd nut collector to go to the GoD collector. So like we did already for the UPS on this. So I think this is the last part. This is just the end of the release notes. So checking if there's any last minute questions that anybody would like to raise on any of the topics that was mentioned. Okay. Seems not. If there's something, you know how to reach out to us on the community channels, so feel free to drop your love, drop your feedback or requests. So thank you for staying this long on this release meetup and for sharing your feedback. So without anything else to share, we can wrap this up here and see you on the next Net8 office hours or the next release meetup. And thanks again. Have a great evening. Sorry, just one last minute thing, sorry. If you're going to be on London on the Observability Con, we'll be there on the 14th and 15th of November. Make sure to meet us there if you're going to attend. We'd love to speak with you personally, so let us know if you're coming. Thanks. Bye.